and to call.
Call now.
Tonight, we're learning more about the motorcycle gang at the center of a federal investigation. Now, the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Ohio updating us today on a series of raids from last night in Xenia and elsewhere.
Now, we were home as a home on Colorado Drive was raided, which is that video that's playing here behind us. But Eli Burgett, you were at that press conference this morning. And so what exactly did they say this morning?
Well, what we know is that on Tuesday, June 11th, a grand jury indicted 14 members of the Dayton chapter of the Thug Riders Motorcycle Club. Last night, both federal and local law enforcement agencies teamed up to carry out several raids in multiple states to arrest those who were indicted. This morning, we learned the names of the individuals involved and what they are accused of.
The indictment in this case alleges that the Thug Rider Motorcycle Club operated a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in acts of violence like murder, arson, and assault. They also participated in acts of extortion and identity fraud.
Last night, 14 members of the Thug Riders Motorcycle Club were arrested in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, and Arizona based on various criminal allegations. Some of those allegations included murder, assault, and other violent crimes. The larger organization has been in place since 2003, but agents say the Dayton chapter was founded in 2019 by this man, Juan Robles. They say this chapter has been on their radar for years as Robles rose through the ranks of power within the club. Police hope that his arrest will send a message to the larger international organization.
Juan Robles was instrumental in the establishment of this chapter and rose to a significant level of leadership. Now, again, that's why it was important to not only address him regardless of the leadership position, but him being in that leadership position should impact the organization overall.
Agents say that these crimes date all the way back to May of 2021 and include blowing up the vehicle of a former club member in Huber Heights, killing a man during a shootout in Harrison Township, and physically assaulting members of another motorcycle gang in London, Ohio. With the larger organization having over 20 years of history, federal law enforcement believes that there could be a larger history of violence as well.
The Thug Riders Motorcycle Club maintains a multi-level chain of command. So for us,
Hauser with how sheriff deputies in North Carolina were able to zero in on the suspect.
I spoke with Warren County Sheriff's deputies who say that they're focused on getting this 14-year-old girl reunited with her family. That's about a 7.5-hour drive for her to get home. So we're waiting to hear if the child's parents are driving to get her in North Carolina or how she may be returning to the tri-state. But the most important thing here, this teen is safe. The Warren County Sheriff's Office says the teen and 38-year-old suspect had been communicating through social media. Deputies say that's why the child got into Pritchard's truck near the King's Auto Mall on I-71. Several hours later, Cleveland County, North Carolina Sheriff's deputies were able to find Pritchard and that teen just before 10 p.m. last night. Sheriff Alan Norman told the CBS TV affiliate in the area Warren County deputies had been able to track Pritchard and alerted his office that the suspect was driving on Interstate 85 through Cleveland County. Norman says it was only about half an hour later his deputies were able to spot the truck and pull Pritchard over and rescue the teen. The address for Pritchard shows he lives about 45 minutes east of where he was pulled over in Cleveland County in a town called Gastonia. Now, Brandon Pritchard is charged with kidnapping, human trafficking, a child victim, and carrying a concealed handgun. Now, those charges are all in North Carolina. Meanwhile, back here in the tri-state in Warren County, he's only charged with interference with custody. But I'm told once the investigation wraps up, more charges are expected locally. Now, it's likely that Pritchard will remain in North Carolina to answer those more serious charges first, but that could change depending on what's charged locally.
That was Christian Hauser reporting. Montgomery County Municipal Courts now better prepared for an active shooter. The Controlled Force Professional Services provided the organization with ALICE training on how to respond to a situation. The training aims at keeping everyone safe during active shootings, mass attacks, and workplace violence. ALICE stands for the steps to remember in these situations, which are alert, lock down, inform, counter, and evacuate.
Ensuring their safety is paramount. So I think they're happy that we supply the training. I think the citizens and residents of Montgomery County and anybody that partakes here in the courthouse, they feel a little sense of safety going through that training.
Foley says the courts undergo this training every year to ensure everyone is up to date on the plan in case of an emergency. And let's give you a live look right now from Delco Park, where Kettering is having its first Pride event tonight. It is a one-day event featuring a bunch of different vendors and food trucks, of course, live local performers as well. Local organizations dedicated to supporting the LGBTQ+ rights and causes will also be in attendance to share local resources. That event runs until 8 o'clock tonight. And one of the largest Pride celebrations in the state of Ohio already underway in Columbus. Stonewall Columbus also kicked off at 4 o'clock tonight, but it's a full weekend of events with thousands of people expected to be in the state's capital this weekend. The city is also adding some extra safety measures, police even adding additional patrols, but they say they've done so in a way that's more inviting than traditional security.
So this year we're going to be on bikes, on foot, in a cruiser, so that makes us approachable. And if we're not approachable, we've got our Stonewall ambassadors who are able to help communicate and get that information out to us. Communication is key to any event. The better we communicate with each other, the better we work in collaboration, the safer and more fun this event is going to be.
Tomorrow's event kicks off at 10:30 in the morning with the Pride March. Well, one Columbus police officer's career was ended abruptly this week. The videos and documents to explain the decision by local law enforcement.
Also, Natalie's weekly forecast predictions calling for some serious heat next week. Lydia has more on how to stay safe up next.
And before we get hot, we actually have a cooler day on the way. I'll track that and that heat wave that's coming up. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
60% on diamond jewelry. Details at jamesfree.com.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Here's an unsettling scene. A group of sharks swimming in a tide pool at Kiawah Island, South Carolina. The International Shark Attack File reports 40 shark attacks in Charleston County since 1837. There have been none so far this year. And here's a great shot from high above Las Vegas, showing different types of clouds at different levels of the atmosphere.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
We now know tonight a Columbus police officer fired after an interaction with a teenager. That interaction was caught on body camera video. Kate Seifert sat down with the Columbus police chief about her views on the footage.
You move, I will break your face.
I don't think that he should be allowed to carry a gun and a badge for the Columbus Division of Police.
CPD Chief Elaine Bryant talking about former officer Donovan Beaver. He was fired Monday. Chief Bryant showing me why through this disturbing body camera video. Take a look. You see a group crossing the street in this Linden neighborhood. Bryant says two of those teens had walked by their cruiser earlier saying, "F the police." Officer Beaver and his partner Cody Banks decided to now pursue the group. You see some try to run away. This is Beaver's body camera. It shows him cuffing one of the teens.
I'm complying.
This is a 14-year-old, his face bleeding after being slammed against the concrete.
Oh, my face.
As Beaver searches the teen, you can see him aggressively throwing the contents of his pockets at his face. Listen, you'll hear the 14-year-old apologize multiple times.
Please, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Bryant tells us that none of the teens had weapons on them.
Yeah, make sure you don't have a gun, brother. I don't got a gun. I don't got.
Beaver's aggressive behavior continues. He pulls the teen to the CPD cruisers by his hair.
Can't justify what this officer did.
You cannot, and I would not even try.
Well, warm one across the Miami Valley for today, and we've also seen a couple of storms firing up for us. Stronger storms east of our area. In fact, severe thunderstorm warning with this lone storm making its way out of Columbus now. You can see a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings there. For us here, nothing much going on. Can't rule out a shower maybe popping up. We have an outflow boundary from some of that cooler air moving out ahead of that storm. So that could potentially trigger a shower or thunderstorm popping up, but overall our severe risk is very low for us. So we got this front making its way through. So this is actually going to bring us a little bit of a cool down as high pressure slides in. And by cool down, it's still going to be pretty warm, but it's also going to be less humid. You could already see here with our dew points, a lot of the mugginess is situated to the southeast. Cooler air already starting to make an impact, or at least drier air with dew points in the upper 40s off to the northwest. So it's going to be kind of comfortable tomorrow, starting out 50s and 60s. Tomorrow afternoon, low to mid 80s, lots of sunshine. But then on Sunday, the heat starts to kick into gear. So we'll start out 60s, 50s Sunday morning. 90s, I think this forecast model may be underdoing it a bit. I'm thinking low 90s for our Sunday. And then heading into our Monday, we're tracking those 90s again. And then with that heat and humidity, some pop-up storms possible as well. So I'll be tracking that and the rest of the week coming up in just a bit.
Well, as Natalie mentioned, the next few days here in the Miami Valley are going to be pretty hot. So that's why Lydia Bice spoke with a medical professional at Premier Health to discuss how you can stay safe in the extreme temperatures.
If any of our viewers at home are planning on bringing the kiddos out to a park like this one here in Miamisburg, a splash pad or pool over the next few days, you may want to think again or just be extra careful, especially Sunday, Monday, and the rest of next week. Now, Dr. Mark Williams with Premier Health says that if you can avoid it, you should stay away from being outside between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. during those extreme temperatures.
If you can't avoid being out during those times, make sure you're wearing light clothing, wear a hat, anything you can do to try to keep the sun off of you.
Dr. Williams says that if you have to work outside, make sure that you take frequent breaks in a shady area if at all possible. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water on hot days like this, and if you start to feel dizzy or lightheaded, you need to head into the air conditioning or a cool place immediately. If you stop sweating, that's a major sign that something is wrong, and you may need to call for medical assistance. Signs of heat stroke are dizziness, being lightheaded, getting confused, weak, and again, if you stop sweating, that's a sign that you're getting progressively weaker. Now, another concern when the temperatures are this high is the air quality. So make sure you're checking constantly to see if there's an air quality alert in your area. Back to you.
When kids are fed, they are fueled to thrive. But for many kids that rely on schools for their meals, summer can be challenging. Dayton 24/7 now, we've partnered with Feeding America for Sinclair Care's Summer Hunger Relief. Scan the QR code to help provide meals for children and families here in the Miami Valley.
Well, heat is the big story as we look into our longer term forecast. Tomorrow, still pretty pleasant. We'll be hanging out in the lower 80s. 92 on Sunday. We'll be away from a record then, but by next week, we'll be pretty close to breaking records. Now, I will say our high temperature is going to be pretty dependent on how much moisture is in the air or if we get some of those pop-up storms. The drier the air, the hotter we'll get. Dry air actually heats and cools more quickly than if we were to have that mugginess out there. So heading into these next several days and into next week, we're going to be mid-upper 90s, factoring in the humidity. Feels like temperatures will be close to the century mark. So here's a look at what we're expecting Monday, mid to upper 90s, what it will feel like. Same thing for our Tuesday, same thing for our Wednesday. So technically, we will be right around that century mark as we head into next week. But one of the concerns that we have with this is the prolonged stretch of this heat. As you can see, Thursday, another day. So it definitely does put a strain on those, especially who don't have a way to really get cool when it does get this hot. So this dome of hot air, I wanted to take a look at the longer term. It does show this heat dome fairly persistent through most of next week. There are signs that maybe by next Monday, we'll start to see that dome shift southeastward and weaken just a bit, bringing us a little relief.
Well, if you're in the mood for some chicken, you may want to head out to Versailles this weekend. Coming up, we'll give you a look at what you can expect.
You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
a champ is crowned.
The Dayton 24/7 Now News app, brought to you by the Jeff Schmidt Auto Group.
It's time for Poultry Days in Versailles. Nathan Edwards shows us the fun kicking off tonight.
Poultry Days in Versailles is an institution, and they're ready to rock and roll. Check this out. They've already got the first of 15,000 chicken halves coming off the cookers. And guess what? The chicken line is already open, so go get your dinners right now. Now, if you're heading out to the festival, starting tonight, running through Sunday, you need to know that it is the Poultry of the Caribbean theme this year, Return of the Chicken Dinner. So make sure you head out there for the 73rd annual event. Now, there's plenty to do. Of course, they got rides, vendor tents, all that. They also have a 5K run and walk. And tonight they have the Little Miss Poultry Days contest and some bands as well. Then tomorrow you can head out and they've got the dunk tank set up. They've got musicians ready to rock and roll. And then they got their classic chicken eating contest. So head out, have a lot of fun. Versailles Poultry Days is a blast. Plus you get some delicious food while you're at it. Back to you guys.
Well, this weekend's not looking too bad, very summer-like, and Saturday's actually looking like the best day of these next 7 days. So enjoy it while we have it, because it's actually going to be pretty pleasant. We'll start out cool in the lower 60s, maybe even some upper 50s around. Highs in the lower 80s with low humidity, sunshine for the afternoon. Lots of sunshine for our Father's Day. Temperatures do get up into the lower 90s. Humidity starts to creep back up on Sunday as well, so you'll start to notice a little bit more humidity, but by next week, the humidity, it's going to be pretty bad. We have mid to upper 90s factoring in the humidity. It's going to feel close to the century mark through much of next week, if not even a little warmer than that. What's not really pictured here is because most of next week is going to be dry, but we will see pop-up rain and thunderstorm chances pretty much every day next week. We'll have that potential. So
like last night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Like one that made its way in.
You tried to warn me.
Right.
You tried to warn me.
I was like, when did it rain?
Yeah,
I forget. I
We
forgot I'm
actually
up
had
north.
a good shower make its way through, which brought us some much needed rain.
It's like about 1 a.m. We're the night owls that stay
Oh,
up.
I was going to say, I was already in bed.
Over on Fox next.
The exclusive Watson's Weather Patio, sponsored by Watson's, only on Dayton 24/7 Now.
All about diamonds.